All right, so today we're at Rocky Mountain National Park. We're at Dream Lake. I would say the most iconic lake in the state because this little ledge here, it's just a really nice, edge. You see a lot of pictures taken here of that little corner here. And Rocky Mountain National Park is like the mecca of hiking in a way in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains because there's so many alpine lakes that are close together that are accessible, right? I've shot in a lot of videos here. I shot in a video at Mills Lake last week. I've been at Sky Pond. There's Bear Lake. There's so many lakes here that you could definitely check out. So I recommend you come here, Rocky Mountain National Park. You gotta it's hard to get a parking pass, right? No, not necessarily hard, but you gotta set an alarm before 7 p.m. And right when 7 p.m. hits, what you do is you log on, you reserve a parking pass to get in. You pay $2 for it, and then you're able to get in through a certain time, right? So my slot today was 2 to 4. It's just a park, okay? I fed a couple of squirrels. I had it on video, but now it's kind of like past. If you remember last week, I shot a couple of videos. I shot a video last week. I was at Mills Lake, and I did miss a couple things that I wanted to say. And I came out here again just so maybe I could shoot it, try to pick up on some of the things that I said. And this is not the video that I said that I've been trying to promote, right? This is just like adding on to my last video and getting this ready for the next video. This is gonna cover a lot of stuff. It's gonna have some of the stuff in this video that I'm gonna say again in the next video. So I'm just gonna keep repeating a lot of stuff in my videos, okay? Okay, this is actually a little better that I'm walking around because I've been distracted. This is like take 3 or 4. Being take 3 or 4, I'm able to get straight to the point more because I've already said a lot of stuff. And sometimes when I say stuff, I don't say it with the same emotion again. But this video, you won't have to worry about not getting the information that I've been trying to say. So recently in my videos, I've always started these videos with some type of natural history, right? Geological or something like that. And I'm gonna do the same on this one. But this one's gonna be more demonstrative. Not necessarily has to do with anything demon, but demonstrative means the main demonstrative, okay? So demonstrative has the word demon in it, and don't get it wrong, it means to demonstrate more than demonize or something like that, okay? Okay. So this is actually a dreamy ass lake. So this is Dream Lake, but this is like a really dreamy lake, okay? You can see why they call it Dream Lake. I always shoot videos here when I come by here. Now, today's scientific topic is on something that you should look up, okay? So remember these 3 letters, and look it up. It's homework, okay? The 3 letters is K-PG, okay? KPG. KPG, I think it stands for, it has something to do with the Cretaceous period and the Paleogene period, right? It's a transition shift from when the dinosaurs died off, okay? And this is a mass extinction, okay, in Earth, and this line is evidence for it, okay? And one of the crazy things about society these days is like, if it happened yesterday, then it's just a theory, right? Like, we take this attitude with evolution, right? But this is evidence, right? Like the people, the anti-evolutionist people, they might as well just say, because they have to draw a line somewhere, and they can't really understand history as much, to say that yesterday, anything that happened that has just passed, as of right now, is just a theory, okay? That's the way their logic is. That's where their logic is sitting at, okay? So this is not, I want to say that this is not a theory. I'm trying to get to why I'm explaining this and how our human capacity has some type of dissonance of our understanding of the world, right? Of how our thoughts came to be, okay? We are fucked in the head in general. I think in this terms, there's a lot of people, I think atheists have a better grasp of the earth, right? And I'm challenging religious people to make your mind more grounded, all right? Because you're gonna see what I'm saying, perhaps a little more, right? So I keep repeating some type of scientific stuff, okay? What's funny is the last video, I think a lot of people chime into it because I'm talking about the Jewish religion, and I want to get there, okay? And it's an interesting topic because we don't really talk about the Jewish religion, okay? So I want to say that we're going to get into it, okay? So don't just think that I'm just going to talk about science and stuff. Okay, so what I want to say, you should look this up, K-PG, is a sedimentary line in the rocks layering, the layering of the earth, right? This is a sedimentary line, right? It's full of iridium and some type of quartz that is rare on Earth, right? And it's more common in asteroids, okay, outside of the planet, okay? So this KPG line in the rock layering, right, is 66 million years ago, okay? So we have a history of the rocks. It goes all the way up, and at the very, I guess you could say relatively, at some relative point, right? I don't know if the line's here, but look it up and you'll see like how big of a difference it is in some rocks. And you can see it's like a black line above it, right? Where all the sedimentary and the smoke and the fire has fell into the sedimentary bank, right? So the KPG line, not only that, right? It has sediments in a lot of places, in like 100 places, other than where this asteroid hit, right? This asteroid hit in the southern peninsula of Central America, right? Or you could say the very southern part of Mexico, from what I understand, but somewhere around there, where Cancun is, right? And they say that that asteroid was about 10 kilometers wide, right? So I'm saying that's like roughly 7 miles, okay? And if you want to know what 7 miles is, so you see from the water to the top tip of that crescent, I would say that might be 11, no, not even that. I'd say like 900 feet, right? So let's just give it a quarter mile, which is, I'm pretty sure that's not a quarter mile. It's shorter than a quarter mile. I'd say 1000. But 7 miles, you would say you take 4 of those mountains, right, to have 1 mile, times 7. So 27 of those, right? So 27 of these, let's just say 30 of these, right? I would say a conservative estimate. 30 of those mountains hits the peninsula, right? And then the sediments fly, right? And they have a lot of the sediment in Colorado, right? They have the sediments from the Yucatan Peninsula in Colorado, okay? So this is how hard it hit. This is how much debris that flies all the way to Colorado, right? This is a hard impact here. The hardest impact Earth has seen, perhaps, at least in the last 100 million years, okay? Give me a second. This song hits hard, bro. Afro beats. Okay, so back to the video. I had to change because it's getting cold. Got some gloves on. So I was talking about the PK line, right? And I had time to regroup myself. I was saying, there's a lot of sedimentary from some type of impact, okay? And that was 66 million years ago. 400 billion years ago, I've said this before, 400 million years ago, the whole Earth was underwater, okay? And then the volcanic activity created the continents, whatever, okay? But from 66 million years ago, it was the reptile period. They get hit with an asteroid. 66 million years later, right? We are in the period of mammals, okay? The evolution of mammals. So most recently, right, they say that there were woolly mammoths, right, that were alive, I think in Siberia, before, I guess you could say, the pyramids were built, right? But we gotta look at this time where the woolly mammoths were, saber-toothed tigers. Those are the two, right? The mammoths and the saber-toothed tigers, and those animals represent the mammal period, okay? I would say those are the two biggest ones. And the woolly mammoth has all this wool on it, right? Because it was so cold. And when the ice melted, they kind of died off and they were hunted off or something like that, right? I think buffalo might have been one of them 12,000 years ago. A lot of mammals, okay? The evolution of a lot of underwater things, the alligators and sharks were still there. They're like even older than the mammals in a way, right? I'm not trying to get that much into evolution, but okay, this is going to get us into the next segment of what I want to talk about, okay? I want to talk about how our minds came to be, okay, and why we don't situate ourselves into the natural history as well, right? Obviously, a lot of it is because the church had a lot of anti-science going on, right? They call a lot of the scientists or the people with scientific evidence about our history heretics, because it contradicts the Bible, okay? Simply, one of the biggest things is in Genesis, Jesus says that the earth was made in 7 days, right? But then the sun was made in one of the later days. So technically, how do we know how long a day was if there was no sun? Okay, because today we look at the days as an evolution around the sun, right? Okay. But I want to get into just our minds, right? Just transition into the way we think in our minds. And the way I gotta explain this is that going off my recent existentialism video, I want to talk about the essence again. We talk about the essence and existence, right? Two different things. The essence of the universe is that it has possibilities, right? The essence of the universe is that it has possibilities, and there's some type of force in the world, right? And the existence is something that is inside the essence, right? It's a possibility that we find this type of human rational thought one day, right? And then all of a sudden, we had this possibility as dinosaurs, as bacteria, as amoebas, in this evolution of things, and even with the plants, right? In this evolution of things, we have a possibility to have an objective experience, right? We have that possibility, okay? So it doesn't even have to come into the humans are the only ones that could do this, right? The possibility is part of the configuration of the universe, right? And it just happens to be that this objective understanding comes very, very recently, okay, compared to what I'm talking about, the stuff that I'm talking about, right? Very, very recently, right? How long have we written history about? How long does the human history go about, right? Human history, I guess, there's some like scattered paintings on the walls and caves and stuff like that, but written history, you could say, written historical history, you could say, I would say, at the very most, and I could be wrong, is 10,000 years from ago, okay? But you don't really find that much stuff that far off, right? I know you say Samaritans and the Indus Valley and all that stuff is like the first civilization, okay? Whatever. That was like, I guess that was like 6,000-7,000 years ago. You don't really find stuff beyond 10,000, right? Then people write, this is what happened this year, this is what happened the following year, right? So it was a possibility just for life in general to have this fucking type of objective realization, right? Just to be able to talk in your mind, right? It's a possibility of the universe, it does not belong to humans, okay? But with such an ethnocentric attitude, right? Or, I don't know, it's not ethnocentric, it's just humans in general. Human-centric attitude. They're saying that we are special, right? But when you look at the universe and how long the universe existed, this is just something that it's just it's just an independent arising thing. It just kind of arised one day, right? And it was always possible that it was going to arise, and then it arised, okay? And all of a sudden, we have this rational talk in our heads, and all of a sudden, we give God these humanistic attributes, right? It's called anthropomorphic or plomorphic. I don't know how to say that word right now. Anthropomorphic, plomorphic, whatever. So we put human characters on this, right? But we look at a lot of other gods before. There was, we look at things like Ganesh. We look at the tribes before, the monotheistic gods, the pagan gods that were before or simultaneous with, the Jewish religion or whoever. Amun-Ra has, some type of, what is it, a bird face or something like that? Or just, there's all types of his staff has snakes, and it's just all types of other stuff, right? But I'm saying where we're situated in history is that the church hated the science, right? And we in our schooling, right, are not taught about different religions, right? I think it's a problem that we don't talk about religions, right? And what we got left is an alienating religions that rules the society, right? The biggest two religions is Islam and Christianity, right? There's 4 billion of those monotheistic religions where people believe that their final destination is outside of Earth, right? Simply being said, okay? And this is why we don't connect with the earth the way we should, right? So what I'm saying is just think about where we came from, right? Think about what I was just saying. Think about how religion came to be. You're on your own, okay? Don't listen to me, okay? Just try to do some of the science stuff and some type of we are a product of our environment stuff, okay? And think about that, okay? And I'm gonna start the next segment. So I was mad at myself earlier for not bringing my raincoat, because it was like hella raining earlier. But we are in the low 30s. No, we're in the 30s for sure, or like very, very 40 at highest now. This is August. But it was like I remember last week when I was in Mills Lake, I was thinking it was like high 80s. Like it was not high 70s. Like it was probably like 70 something, right? Or maybe 60 or something like that. It was the hottest I've ever been here. But this is so sporadic, the weather. But this is like definitely we're in like 30s or 40s, and I'm glad I brought a blanket. I actually brought a blanket out here. But I'm gonna walk this way just to pretty sure these people want to see this view.
Oh, what? My phone.
What was I saying? So the next segment. So think about what I said earlier. But the next segment that I want to talk about is the Jewish part. Okay.
It's so crazy seeing it.
You know that the Jews wrote our education system, right? Okay, before we get into this, right? What I want to say is, besides the Jews wrote our education system, is that we don't talk about the Jewish religion a lot, right? I've taken 3 Western religion classes. No, have I? No. I've taken a few religious classes like about Western religions, right? They didn't cover the shit that I'm about to talk about, right? It's we're not allowed to talk about it, right? And people say that Jews are being discriminated against, right? But we gotta like really talk about this, right? If I'm in academics, right, and I'm in academics and in a religious class, we don't talk about the dynamics of what the Jewish religion is, then I would say that they're not being discriminated against, they're being protected, right? Because again, our education is written by Jews, pretty much, right? And I gotta talk about this, right? This is very, what I want to say is also is it's so interesting, right? What I got 280 views on my Facebook, and I don't know how many I really get. But that's one of my highest videos just on my page. I did post it somewhere else. No one even really watched it. Before I posted it, I was at 281 views, right? Maybe it was, part of it was I was talking about the caption, right? Use Jews and everything in between. And it is a captivating topic because we don't talk about it, right? Me in academics don't really talk about this, right? I'm in a whole semester of Western religion and we're not talking about it, right? It's fucking nuts, right? Jews, it's crazy, right? I do want to say again, like I don't condone any physical. I want to promote the discussion of this, right? We should talk about the Jewish religion way more than we actually do, right? I don't condone any violence against them, right? I would be I'd probably smash you. You fuck with one of my Jewish peeps, right? What was I saying? But so I do want to talk about the discrimination of Jews, right? In this society, especially like in America, right? Jews are not being discriminated against because we don't even know who is Jewish, right? It's very hard to tell who is Jewish. I actually could kind of tell sometimes, and me more than other people, just because I pay attention to stuff like this, right? But I could barely tell, right? So a lot of times, for Jewish discrimination to happen, a Jewish person will have to tell you that they're fucking Jewish, right? And I don't mean to say the word fucking before that, but it's just. So what I was saying is that, this topic is kind of. I feel like it's a charged topic, right? It's like politically charged, especially right now, right? Like I'm like, with the Israel and Palestine thing, it's like fucking, we should definitely talk about this Jewish problem. I'm gonna call it a problem, and I hope the Jewish people watching this will kind of like just see what I'm saying, and it's not nothing personal, right? And I'm saying do not. I like in my last video, I said that I wish more Jewish people said that there is no God's chosen people. Okay. So where all this try to sit down for a little bit. I'm gonna have to cut this because the last video was cut off at right where I started on this video. So we're running out of time because I had to delete 30 minutes of video. So at most, you got 30 more minutes of video from me. and my battery's at 29. So it's about to be over. But we're gonna talk about Jewish. I wanted to talk about a little bit about Kant today, but I don't think we'll get to it. We'll get to the Jewish stuff and I'll end it. Okay. I want to talk about the Jewish religion, okay? And I'm gonna try to get to a lot of this stuff, okay? It's unique stuff because we don't talk about it. What I was saying is that, you know, Jewish people, they hold our religion, and they've made it so they've written our education system, and they made it so that we're not allowed to talk about religion, right? But they're okay with churches and mosques everywhere in society, where 4 billion people are either Christian or Muslim, right? But somehow religion is not talked about in schools, right? If you're Muslim, I guess you could say that Christianity is not taught, or just other religions besides them. And we're gonna get to that, I guess, in a Plato's Meno video, okay, eventually, or at least after a Plato's Meno video, okay. Okay, what I want to say in this video is where I was getting at is about the Jewish discrimination, right? And I was saying in America, it's very hard to get discriminated as a Jew unless you're dressed with your sideburns, which one of my Jewish friends told me it was kukuros, right? I used to have sideburns, and he was like, yo, you got some fucking sideburns, yo. And I was like, hey, you like them? I'm trying to be Jewish. And he was like, he started cracking up, you know. Rest in peace, Art. A lot of people know Art, but I just remember that was like one of the funniest things between me and him. He was like, he was saying something about the sideburns, and I was like, yo, I'm become Jewish. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, you could, but you know. But anyways, he taught me the word kukuro. So, like, you know, I have things in common with Jewish people when I grow up, my sideburns. If you're not dressed like a Jew in New York, Hollywood, or some shit like that, we don't know that you're Jewish in general a lot of times, right? So for you to get discriminated on, you pretty much have to tell people you're Jewish, because we can't tell that most people are Jewish, right? And I do want to say that there's cool people that will tell you they're Jewish, and I think a lot of times they're telling people they're Jewish because just to show that they're really, a lot of times they're cool people, right? My teachers that I say, a lot of my friends that are Jewish, they told me that they're Jewish, and I wouldn't have known unless they told me, right? So them being Jewish, they're cool. Like they are a good example of Jews in the world. Okay, I do want to say that, right? It's fucking raining. I'm gonna have to fucking head down. It looks like it's fucking black as shit. Say goodbye to this, okay? Fuck, yo, it's like hella raining. That's not good. I'm gonna have to fucking put it up. We'll see. I'm gonna finish this in the car or something. All right, so this video, it's gonna have to change locations. We're at Nymph Lake. I actually shot a video when I was over there. We were looking up. You can't see it because we're too close to these mountain lines. But this is Nymph Lake. This one has all the lilies that are floating. Okay, so now my batteries are at 20 something, and I only got like 20 minutes. And the topic is on Jewish people. It just told me I was at 20 now, because I had to hit the screen. And I didn't think it was still rolling, but it was. So it's gonna do that at 10 again, so if you see me pause, and that's what it is. So, I was talking about cool Jewish people, and it was raining hella hard, that's why I came down there. But, in America, we don't, for you to support Israel, you're really freaking brainwashed, okay? And for you to, if you're Jewish, it's one thing, but if you're a Christian supporting Israel, like, you're like a whole type another level brainwashed, okay? and you think it's like Jewish people are being discriminated. They don't get discriminated in the United States, right? Asians get way more discriminated than Jewish people. But I tend not to talk about it because there's other people that get discriminated more than Asians, okay? There's this, and if I were to sit there and cry about me getting discriminated on, I'd be fucking being Jewish, okay? That's, I don't know how to say it like that, right? And it's like, I'm gonna get into what's going on, okay, about the problem of the Jewish religion, okay? It's nothing personal, okay? This is an intellectual thing, right? Only intellects could actually give a good thing about Jews, right? And I was explaining earlier, right, that I took religious classes, right, Western religion classes, and they don't really talk about it because the way society is set up, okay? And I get all these views. My last video had all these views, maybe because I was talking about Jews, because it's so captivating, right? It's interesting, okay? Because we don't know shit about it, and it's made that way, right? What I was saying, okay? I'm not saying there was never no discrimination of Jews, but I think in places like Rome, okay? Places like Rome allow Jewish people to exist among these other people, okay? So Rome was an empire, or just, you know, a conquesting civilization that assimilated people into the empire. And it was really, you could say, liberalized, where everybody could be who they are. You could have all types of religions, right? The Roman Republic was a couple hundred years before the Roman Empire, okay? The Roman Empire didn't become Christian into Constantine, which is 300 years after. So 300 years after, 400 years of the Republic, we're looking at 700 years, right, of Rome's multicultural state, okay? But inside Rome, you're allowed to do whatever you want, right? In a certain way, just, I guess you could say, just pay taxes, hail Rome, right? Hail to Caesar or whatever, right? You got to remember, even when Jesus was in captivity and he was on trial, right? He was brought to court and they were like, why? What's your problem, right? What's your problem? And they're saying that, oh, he said he's the king of the Jews, right? So Jesus says he's the king of the Jews. And then Pilate says, well, is this true? And then, you know, Jesus, like, passive aggressively says, you know, did you ask this about yourself? Or the others ask you to say this to me, right? So it's kind of like, are you judging me? Because you might go to hell or some shit like that, right? Now, what's going on? What happens is, when they ask, is this true? Jesus, when he asks, is this true? Are you the king of the Jews? Pilate is kind of like saying, what's wrong with him saying the king of the Jews? They say, well, there's only one king, and it's the king of Rome, right? At first, the Jews were like, oh, Jesus is saying he's our king, right? And then when they ask, is this true or whatever? What's wrong with this? They're asking the Jews. The Jews are like, well, there's only the king of Rome, right? So now it's like, again, that patriotism in Rome, you could exist, right? The Jews could exist in Rome if they're just patriotic towards Rome, right? That's what was my point on this. And I threw in some extras. Okay. So, in Rome, you're allowed to be anti-social, okay? So, Jews, religion, they were anti-social, right? And being antisocial in Rome is okay, right? So when Rome fell, Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's okay for Rome to allow all types of people in, but to be anti-social is another thing, right? And it is actually okay, right? This is where I kind of get into Kant, okay? I remember now. This is where my Kantian ethics is gonna come in, okay? So it's gonna, a lot of this, I'm gonna talk about Kant versus Kant's Kantian ethics and the Jews, okay? This is a very unique topic to me specifically. So in Rome, okay, it bred the Jewish state, right? Where Jews were so powerful that they were able to put a religious leader in persecution, okay? And Rome lasted, okay? And then they turned the empire into Christianity, but somehow the Jews were still around everywhere. And then maybe there was like some type of rift between the Roman Catholicism and Jews, okay? But then later, like another century, you could say, or another millennium, because we're in the year 2000 something. There's been times where, holy shit, it just started raining crazy. Well, just a flash of rain just came by. It started, oh shit, I don't know what to do. Fuck it, y'all, I'm gonna keep going. I gotta focus though. Or I could find a tree. This is bad. See, good thing I walked down earlier, because when it starts dripping out here, I'm gonna have to cut it. Okay. This is getting pretty good, okay? So, what's going on is, you could be antisocial in Rome. Rome was the perfect place because it was so liberalized, as in everybody has their rights to do whatever, as long as you pledge your allegiance to Rome, right? To be antisocial, whatever. And I was talking about ethics, right? And after the ethics, I started mentioning that there were times where Jews were discriminated, where they were not allowed into society, right? England, Germany, right? There's a period where they were not allowed in, okay? Whether it's like 100 years, 150 years. And then they were let back in, okay? Because what did let's just say, what did the English see? What did the Germans see, right? They seen this antisocial people, right? And they looked at it as a problem, right? And when you do it in Rome, they don't see the problem in it, right? Now, where the problem comes in is the Jewish theology, okay? And I just want to talk about it. If you're Jewish, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But now, in ethics, right? I'm going back to ethics and Kantian ethics and Aristotelian ethics, okay? It is not ethical, right, for you to use people as a means to an end, okay? If you are Jewish, okay, and you're antisocial, you gather without the rest of the population, right? You gather without the rest of the population, and you figure out ways to use the goys or the goyim, right? The people are non-Jews, and then you go back into the society and you implement using goyim as a means to an end. You're gonna exploit a liberal society, okay? You're gonna exploit the liberalism in a society because they allowed you to be Jewish, okay? Antisocial, plotting to use people as a means to an end, okay? So they've been kicked out a lot of times of society because they started seeing what the problem was, okay? So now, when they get established back into society, we're at 10 minutes now, some type of liberalism, what happens is 10 of my battery is, so we're at 10%. So what happens is, I'm gonna cut it off, okay, after I finish what I say. And I'm gonna put some batteries, maybe I can finish it in my car or something. What happens is, so beautiful though. And we're close to the parking lot, so it's okay. What happens is, if they have the financial institutions that are not ethical, using people as a means to an end, it's too fucking late, okay? It's too fucking late. And they got the media, okay? Okay, I'm gonna finish it there. You see why. But I'm gonna finish it, I'm gonna stop it there, I'm gonna continue, okay? When I get back to my car, I'll figure out, maybe I'll go to Boulder or something, and then shoot it in there.